Hey everybody, thanks for hopping in and joining us this afternoon for February's event, February session of Founder Pitch. I'll give everyone just a quick second to get settled in and join the room, and we'll get underway after that. Thanks a bunch. All right. Well, first couple of minutes are a little boring anyway. I'll get those out of the way while people are getting settled in. So again, thanks for hopping in and joining us today. I'm joined by four of our founders, four companies that are actively raising on Republic right now. Super excited to introduce them to you and to give you an opportunity to hear from them, learn a little bit about what they're building and how they're innovating their respective industries. So first off, I'm Greg. I lead investor relations here at Republic. Everything you hear today on Founder Pitch, it's not investment advice, and past performance is not indicative of future returns. Of course, with any investments, we always encourage you to do your due diligence before making investment decisions. As I mentioned, joined by four incredible founders here today. First, we have Sim Harmon, founder CEO of Kutt. We've got Jeremy Clark, he's the head of strategy at Merchagogo. We've got Lior Schaefer, CEO and CTO of Smartsoda. And then joining us from Suntrain, we got Jeff Anderson, president and CTO there. So I will. And we got Christopher Smith joining us from Suntrain as well. So I gotta talk to someone on our creative team. But no doubt his teammate there is Jeff Anderson, who you're getting a good look at. So let us get underway. Apologies for that, Chris. But Sim, I'd love to pass it over to you, and you can go ahead and share your screen here as well if you got some slides, and take it away. We'd love to hear some more about Kutt.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. I actually just sent a request to share my screen. You might have to
Yep, you beat me
accept
to
that.
it. You can just
Perfect.
get started again. You should be able to. There you go.
There
I
we
see it coming
go.
through.
Hopefully everyone can see that.
Yep.
Awesome. Can you see that? Awesome. Well, thanks again, guys. I do appreciate your interest in the webinar today. I'm Sim Harmon. I'm the founder and CEO of Kutt, which is a platform to bet on anything against anyone. So look, everyone's betting on something these days. If you don't, you probably have a friend that does. The American Gaming Association says that $150 billion is actually bet on sports each year. If you paid attention to the 2024 presidential election, you saw that there was a lot of talk about prediction markets and people betting on that. And then polls regularly indicate that about 60 to 70% of Americans actually have bet on something in the last year. With all that said, most betting still actually happens between two counterparties, right? Two humans. And this is what we call social betting. So social betting is basically informal handshake bets that happen between two people. These can be facilitated via group chats, phone notes. You see a lot of people betting on Twitter, X, and Venmo, right? But most of these options are very inefficient and none of them guarantee payment. So that's where we come in. Kutt is the platform to capture, track, and monetize these social bets. So Kutt, we call ourselves the social betting platform. What are we? We are a peer-to-peer betting platform that allows friends and strangers to bet directly against each other on anything with a verifiable outcome. When I say anything, I truly mean anything. That could be sports, politics, pop culture, finance, even personal events, right? We also offer guaranteed bet settlement. All bets are pre-funded so that neither side can flake. And then we have a ton of fun and engaging social features that really give it the feel of a social network. And then lastly, community. So we are very different than the traditional betting platforms out there because we really are trying to create these communities within Kutt of like-minded bettors and also people that share betting interests as well. So this, when I say bet on anything, I really mean bet on anything. And I wanted to give a quick story. So this is a picture from a wedding that I went to this summer. It was in the south of France. You can see this is an actual picture. My friends are getting married. I was sitting there at the wedding in the back row and I was like, wow, this is unbelievably beautiful. It's one of the few times that I got to disconnect from work. And sure enough, right before the wedding started, the guy to my left looks at me and says, hey man, how long do you think this wedding is going to last? Over or under 15 minutes? And I had to laugh because I said, hey, I know you don't know me. I don't know you, but that's actually exactly what my platform Kutt does. And so I had to laugh about that even in the midst of this beautiful wedding, he was thinking about betting. So here's our team. I introduced myself a second ago. I am the CEO and founder. I have about 20 years of domain expertise, domain knowledge in the betting space as an operator, as well as a user. I started Kutt several years ago after working in finance for a couple years. And then around the time that we launched, we found our CTO, James. And James had actually built a betting platform himself several years ago, and so he was a perfect fit. In addition to the two of us, we also have a group of advisors, both formal and informal, who help us navigate the legal space, the regulatory space, as well as just operations and marketing help. So how are we different than everything else out there? Because I'm sure you've heard of other betting platforms. It's simple. We are the only peer-to-peer betting platform out there that offers real money betting on both sports and non-sports, offer fully customizable betting odds, and then also offer a gamified social experience, right? Which is very different than what you see traditionally with a lot of existing betting platforms that are, for all intents and purposes, transaction-based only. So quickly, I'll talk about traction. So we have over 16,000 users right now. Our trailing 12 months revenue is 540,000. We have done over 32 million in total bet volume. And our 2024 revenue was actually 3x our marketing costs. So our customer acquisition is working. And to talk about that, we have partnerships with several companies and influencers in the betting space. And basically what we do is we partner with people in the betting space that have an existing audience and allow them to actually engage further with that audience via betting. So as far as our raise, what we're looking to do is fairly standard for any startup. Hiring is obviously top of mind for us. We need to expand the team, add some developers, add some marketers. That also goes hand in hand with the next step, which is marketing, right? We have a lot of partnerships we want to start, strategic initiatives that we want to start that require funding. And then lastly, we have things like data and service providers, as well as Republic's crowdfunding expenses. We have already raised 1.4 million in a previous round. And really the goal of this round was to allow a lot of our users, as well as some individual angels, to actually participate in the raise. Going forward, we have the consumer-facing side, which is what we're currently working on, but we also want to add a media side as well as a B2B side. The consumer-facing is obvious. That's what we're building right now, which is where you're in front of the consumer and go direct to consumer. They can actually participate on the app. But the B2B side is also interesting. We're in the process of creating a white label that we could actually license out to operators, teams, and sports leagues, where they could actually use their own app, their own interface, by using Kutt's tech on the background, so that they can create their own peer-to-peer betting apps. And then lastly, talk about exit opportunities. So look, I'd love to sit here and tell you that we want to be the next DraftKings, and that is true. However, there's been a lot of interest in the space, a lot of M&A in the space, and so a more realistic exit is probably for us to be acquired in a couple of years. The beauty of what we do is that there are a lot of potential buyers. That could be anything from a media company to a peer-to-peer payment provider, all the way to something like a financial exchange like Robinhood, or another gaming operator like DraftKings. So this is the summary slide. Why invest? Massive total addressable market, strong operating team. We have really good traction and growth. There are a lot of macro regulatory tailwinds. And then lastly, I'll leave you with this, which is to say we do have perks for any investor. We can go over these in more detail, but you can find all of these perks on our deal page. Greg, that's all I had, but yeah, happy to answer any further questions that anyone has.
Amazing. Sam, really appreciate that. And definitely echo that. If you got any questions, we've got the chat role here in Zoom. There's a Q&A function as well. After these pitches, we're going to get into a lengthy Q&A session. So definitely a great opportunity to ask any of the questions that you might have to these founders. Sam, that's a hilarious example, because I've been there on both sides of that same exact gambling practice there.
And
as a groomsman and as a groom, I've been the subject of the bet, so it's funny.
Yeah, you're actually seeing a lot of weddings now. They offer kind of betting cards, to say, hey, who's going to give the best man speech? How long is that going to take, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, something that I think is very relevant for everyone these days.
Yeah, and it just kind of speaks to just how common, just a random bet in passing can be. So really great ideas here. Love the use cases. Jeremy, I'm super excited again. Number 2 here, Merchant Go-Go. So we've got head of strategy, Jeremy Clark, going to share a little bit with us. So go ahead and take it away. Looks good. Sorry, Jeremy, you are muted for us. If you can give us start from square one again. There you go.
Absolutely. Thanks, Greg and Republic team, for having us today. And thank everyone for joining. I'm Jeremy Clark. I'm co-founder and head of strategy at Merchagogo. And I want to start with a few definitions. And just to keep things clear, I promise I'm not going to read every slide, but we're defining merch as any physical item that celebrates an artist, team, athlete, product, or cultural phenomenon. Now, importantly, this includes physical media like vinyl, cassettes, and CDs. And another quick one, the key term here that you'll be hearing a lot is secondary merch, which is simply merch that's pre-owned or a return or closeout or an end of tour item. Now, where is all this leading? While not a space that typically gets a lot of attention, music merch will soon generate over 4.3 billion in annual sales. Fandom has continued to grow in recent years. Vinyl sales skyrocketed during the pandemic and continued their growth through last year. The print-on-demand production model has increased both the volume and variety of apparel available in artist stores. The sale and resale of music merch is a booming space. So, what's the problem with music merch? There are two related issues Merchagogo aims to address. One, how the music industry en masse handles secondary merch. And two, where fans turn to sell their pre-owned merch. Now, the music industry is not equipped to handle secondary merch, and this is by design. The industry is so laser focused on chart position and streaming numbers, secondary merch is a distant afterthought. There are some unfocused D2C offerings. A portion gets liquidated. Some returns sit for years since the returns warehouse is waiting for the merch company and the label to decide who's handling it. Confusion and disagreements between the artist team, the merch manufacturer, the label, and 3P fulfillment services means that hundreds of thousands of items that fans actually want do not have the opportunity to sell. Concurrently, the landscape is getting more frustrating for fans who want to sell their pre-owned merch. Several traditional marketplaces have made decisions in recent years that have alienated sellers. Let's look at Discogs. 110 million annual users, one of the largest marketplaces for used vinyl. They raised fees in 2023, which sparked a huge backlash from sellers. But those sellers didn't have a good alternative since Facebook Marketplace raised its fees in 2024, and eBay charges the most to sell vinyl on its marketplace, 13.5% of the total sale. This was the impetus of Merchagogo, a dedicated online marketplace for secondary merch, founded on established relationships with large merch suppliers, but built with the individual fan in mind. Well, where did these relationships come from? The idea of Merchagogo grew out of Merch Bar, the leading dedicated e-commerce marketplace for music merchandise. For over a decade, Merch Bar has built a massive platform hosting over 2.7 million product listings from over 700 supply partners, ranging from Warner, UMG, Sony, to mid-tier indie labels to individual artists. I've been director of e-commerce for Merch Bar for 4 years, and my team manages these relationships. Conversations with these orgs about their returns were the original spark that led to Merchagogo's creation. And who's leading these conversations? John Hecker, co-founder of Merch Bar and now co-founder of Merchagogo. I've included a brief list of his bona fides here. John's an industry vet that has had successful ventures in the publishing, recorded music, and merch spaces. I want to address an obvious question. Why not just open up Merch Bar to include pre-owned items? Problem solved. Not that easy. 3 reasons. One, the biggest of which is legal agreements. Our contracts with Warner Music, for example, expressly forbid Merch Bar to host the sale of pre-owned Warner Music items. 2, our process is built to work with companies, not casual sellers looking to make a few bucks on selling albums they're not into anymore. And 3, the back-end payment systems don't reflect what I describe as preferable for a more open marketplace. What Merch Bar does have, however, is a healthy email list of 7 million users, fans who've purchased music merch in the past and may be inclined to shop or sell on a secondary marketplace. Informed by the lessons learned building the largest dedicated marketplace for music merch, we embarked on a new marketplace that brings secondary music merch to the fore and builds a community of fans and individual sellers. Now, regarding growth, I wanted to focus on 2 aspects, starting with the consolidation of marketplace inventory. We currently have over 1 million units ready to be loaded into Merchagogo. And these come from four sources: our own merch bar returns. Our returns warehouse handles Merchagogo order fulfillment. 2 and 3, goods either purchased from merch bar supply partners or items held by those partners and sold on a rev share basis. And 4, listings made by individual sellers. While our unique relationships with labels and merch companies, etc., are helping to jumpstart the platform, I feel it will be our ability to cultivate a strong base of individual sellers that will really help propel growth. And aside from building inventory, we're focusing on content marketing as a big piece of customer acquisition. The advantage we have is that fans are already seeking merch from the artists they love. And by leveraging the latest AI tools, we can create a rich repository of content to attract potential shoppers. Musical instrument marketplace Reverb.com used this approach to quickly build its user base in 2013, drawing sellers who previously relied on eBay exclusively. Regarding our model, for sellers, we aim to be the best game in town, keeping only a 5% commission fee on each sale. This beats selling vinyl on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, or Discogs. We charge no listing fees, again, setting Merchagogo above much of its competition. For suppliers, we aim to be the only game in town, becoming the default answer for the ultimate disposition of returns, closeouts, and end-of-tour items. So where are we now? We launched about 90 days ago, primarily to test, troubleshoot, and optimize. While Merchagogo is live and fully functional, the Merch Bar team, which is also the Merchagogo team, had to focus on the Q4 sales push at the end of last year. Now in 2025, we're prioritizing Merchagogo's development. Which leads us to today. We're currently in the middle of our public fundraise, and we're about halfway to our minimum goal. We're seeking investments to achieve goals in 4 main areas: marketing, focusing on affiliate and influencer campaigns, getting more hands-on keyboards to build new, robust features that support more sophisticated sellers. We are continuing to secure, process, and prep new inventory. And we feel strongly that building a fantastic customer service experience will be key to growing our customer base and customer LTV. While investment begins at only $100, any investment at the $1,000 level or higher qualifies the investor to earn marketplace fee revenue until the investment is recouped, all the while keeping your shares in Merchagogo. And we're excited about what comes next, and we hope that you'll join us. Thanks very much for your time. I look forward to fielding any questions.
Brilliant, Jeremy. Really appreciate it. I will admit, my success rate on eBay has started to dwindle, so I got to take you guys for a spin. Good to learn more. Lior, would love to pass it over to you. So our third company, we've got one more following up with Suntrain, but Lior Schaefer, co-founder, CEO of Smartsoda. Would love to pass it over to you to tell us a little bit more.
Thank you. I will share my screen, and I'm not the CTO. Our CTO is much smarter than me.
Okay. Yeah, there's a couple notes I've got for my creative team and put that deck together. So really appreciate the clarification there.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
We sure can. Yep.
Okay, Lior Shafir, CEO and co-founder at Smartsoda Holdings, Inc. Previously the CEO and exclusive distributor of SodaStream Professional in North America. Smartsoda is an AI IoT-based pre-IPO company offering new standard in wellness beverages for offices, convenience stores, restaurants, retailers, and cafeterias. We are transforming the beverage industry by combining AI, wellness, and sustainability. Originally a functional beverage company, now leveraging technology to provide hydration as a service. Founded in 2019 in Cleveland, Ohio. Capital raised to date $11 million. We are raising on a pre-money valuation of $75 million. And we are projecting 50x within 36 months. Non-accredited investors, any investor can invest on Republic. The need for our products is very basic. Consumers are shifting to healthier beverages. They demand clean ingredients. There are many sustainability concerns, especially when it comes to corporate America, and limitation of current options. The solution, which is a patent as well, is the Julie. The Julie is the first all-in-one beverage dispenser that dispenses alkaline water, sparkling water, iced tea, sodas, diet sodas, flavored sparkling waters, cold brew coffee, lemonade, iced tea, and you can customize, and this is the patent, the product on the spot, so you can choose whatever flavor you want, and you can add a shot of energy, immunity, relaxation, and personalize your beverage of choice. By transitioning Smartsoda to a SaaS company, we are launching a smartphone application. 75% of all Americans are chronically dehydrated. We don't drink enough water. So the application, based on habits, weather, activities, sleep, calendar, health, weight loss, and any other thing that are going on in our life, will provide personalized hydration notification. So you will have a hydration calculator. And we believe that if we are sending machines to LinkedIn and they have 25,000 employees and every employee will download up our application, they will be drinking much more. We believe that we will double the amount of consumptions, which are syrups, by implementing the application. Another point, if we have hundreds of thousands of random clients that are dispensing products from our machines, now we can turn those clients into consumers, because we will know that Mr. Jones drinks 5 times a day cucumber mint with a shot of energy, and we will be able to retarget them in different ways. The market in the US alone is $227 billion, keep growing. We are looking at a $1 trillion business globally. We launched Smartsoda in UK, LATAM, and we are working on Asia Pacific. The beauty about Smartsoda, the products is almost for everyone. We are targeting offices, institutions, retail stores, convenience stores, restaurants, hotels, micro markets, and end users through our ready-to-drink program. The business model is simple. We are selling the equipment normally on a low gross margin. 22% is the minimum, average is 35%. And we are renting the equipment to end users. When we are looking at ROI of 6 to 12 months per machine, means we are installing the machine in very busy locations. Based on the consumption of syrups, we can pay the equipment back relatively fast. The gross margin of our syrups, the consumable, is 69%, very high. We have a technology package and ready-to-drink line. The go-to-market strategy is fully sealed. We have agreements with the largest food service management companies in the world: Compass Group, Guggenheim, Aeromark, Sodexo, a lot of office coffee service companies, vending operators, and the largest distributors. We launched the products to the market in 2023, mid-2023. Within 2024, we got major corporation using Smartsoda for their employees. We just got OpenAI, Yankees, New York Nets, and a lot of other companies. This is how it looks in their offices or facilities. They have the hydration station, and consumer or employees can use our products. We are working on a major mission. We have a very big sustainability impact. We are planning to save the planet 2.3 billion plastic bottles by installing 25,000 Julie machines by 2028. Each Julie machine will reduce 35,000 plastic bottles per year. So the employees are getting the Smartsoda application, and they can see their daily impact, how many plastic bottles they are saving personally. The corporate social responsibility is there, and every employee will get a tumbler that will be reusable and reduce plastic. By leveraging our SaaS technology, we are controlling the entire ecosystem. When we have the equipment, the technology, the locations, when the equipment is being placed, hundreds of thousands of users, we can collect data, we can communicate with supply chain, sell the syrups back to the equipment. I won't go through all the details, but we are beating the competition in almost every category when it comes to taste, quality, our technology package, and a lot of the technical specs of the unit. By turning Smartsoda from a beverage company first to functional beverage company and now to AI company, we are looking at much higher multiple when it comes to valuation. A regular beverage company is about 5 times revenue. Functional beverage, it's 8 times. AI you're looking at 25x on the revenue. We are checking all the checkpoint of a traditional SaaS company. We have a great team. The leadership team, I introduced myself that I was born into the beverage business, 25 years in the beverage industry. Ash is our CTO. He created the largest loyalty program for McDonald's in Asia Pacific and invested in hundreds of companies through his portfolio. Kevin is the COO, comes from the military with a major experience with scaling startups from 70 employees to 400 employees pre-IPO. And Alex has a great experience when it comes to vending operators, office coffee service. He was born into the vending business. We are projecting $20 million in sales in 2025, which is aggressive and based on capital raise that we are counting on receiving not just from Republic, but from different channels. We are planning a significant growth in the next 5 years, targeting IPO end of 2027, 2028. You can see the scaling in terms of project clients and number of employees that we are targeting for Smartsoda. So far, we are on track. And I would love to answer any questions later. And thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Really exciting stuff and lots of innovation in the beverage space. So excited to see you taking a part of that. And as Lior said, please do send, this is my unapologetic plug. Please send all the questions that you can think of through our Q&A function here or through the chat roll. We'd love to get to those here in just a couple of minutes. But last but certainly not least, I'm going to pass this over to Christopher Smith. He is our president and CTO of Suntrain and very excited to learn a little bit more. So go ahead and take it away, Chris.
Awesome. Trying to get this slide to get going here.
Oh, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. Hey everyone, my name is Christopher Smith. I'm the founder and chief technical officer of Suntrain. Our team has figured out that we can very quickly help break the deadlocks that are hurting the renewable energy transition in the United States by reutilizing the freight railroad network to move battery trains. I'll get more into the details in that in a moment. But first, I wanted to start with Suntrain's origin and our background. My team and I have been working for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers for, at the minimum, each one of us for 10 years. In fact, I've been working with them for 13. Majority of my team has been working with the Electricians Union for nearly 20 years or more. In our time together, we've developed between $1 and $2 billion worth of infrastructure and renewable energy projects in California, Nevada, Colorado, and Pennsylvania. And we have since discovered that the way to break the deadlock is to use the railroads. So we formed this company while keeping our close relationship with the Electricians Union. The concept was founded in June of 2020 when we were actually in Alaska trying to escape the virus. We then formulated the company in August of 2021. We received our first venture capital funding in April of 2022, and we have raised $3.1 million to date. The reason we're on Republic, despite the fact we have such a capital-intensive industry which is railroads and utilities, we wanted to give the everyday person a chance to do this. Suntrain requires a significant amount of money, so we're typically raising from venture capitalists, infrastructure banks, private equity firms, and energy developers. But with our union backgrounds, we wanted to give the everyday person with anywhere from a few $100s to a couple of $1,000s the opportunity to invest. So let me first start with the problem. The United States needs 300,000 miles of transmission lines to keep up with modern demand. Things like electrification, data centers, artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, and the general shift away from fossil fuels has made explosive demand for electricity. It takes a significant time to build new transmission lines, between 10 and 20 years. And it's even estimated that by 2050, we're going to need a new amount of transmission line that totals over 1 million miles. We are currently building less than 1,000 transmission mile lines per year. And the reason is because of NIMBYism. People are afraid of the electromagnetic radiation. It's also, America's more built out than it was in the 50s and the 60s when the utility grid was built, which means there's thousands upon thousands of acres of privately owned land, as well as new environmental regulations that make it almost impossible to build new transmission lines. So our idea is to reutilize the existing freight railroad network. And why would we do this? Well, for one, it's sprawling. It goes virtually everywhere. And contrary to popular belief, we have the best freight railroad system in the entire world. The reason everyone has such a bad opinion of rail is because these multi-billion-dollar companies that control the railroads have pushed passenger rail out of existence, and they make billions upon billions of dollars every quarter. We have over 140,000 miles of active railroad lines and main lines in the country. And if you overlay these lines with where our transmission lines are, as well as the renewable energy in the United States, you'll find this as a great opportunity to immediately break the issues that we've been having. The way we can do this is actually very simple. Think about it. The railroads already move coal, natural gas, oil, shales, biomass, spent nuclear waste, but it's not moving grid-ready electricity. We can move battery trains that weigh 10,000 tons, the same and similar amount of coal trains, throughout the freight railroad network, just like during the yesteryear of coal. In fact, I'll give a quick history lesson. During the heyday of coal in America, there were over 9,000 operating coal mines and nearly 1,800 power plants. The railroads at the time were referred to as rolling conveyor belts because they never stopped moving energy back and forth between the coal mines and the coal power plants that were using the coal. We want to use the same idea, but we're updating it for the future. We're moving away from the Industrial Revolution towards the Green Revolution. Our trains are going to be carrying batteries, and we can fit nearly 2 gigawatt hours of electrical energy on a train per unit train of approximately 100 cars. This means we can power entire cities of approximately 100,000 people for an entire day, or major metropolitan areas like Denver or San Francisco for the entirety of the duck curve, which is the 4 to 10 p.m. window when the grid has no more electricity from wind and solar and goes back almost entirely to fossil fuels. We've been on track to commercialization since our formation in 2021. We have a proof of concept rail car that holds just under a megawatt hour of energy storage, and we've moved it 10,000 miles to discharge points all over California as well as Colorado. We've also had demonstration projects at the Port of Oakland, the Port of San Francisco, the Port of Long Beach, various electrical vehicle charging places, and a demonstration with Xcel Energy at Cherokee Generating Station, which is a defunct coal power plant in downtown Denver. Our IP is around not only the rail car, but we've also developed the charging stations that allow these trains to charge and discharge simultaneously. Meaning if we have a 2 hour or a 2 gigawatt hour train, we can discharge the entirety of that train in 4 hours and also charge it in 4 hours. We had to build this type of infrastructure because nothing like this exists yet. Currently, electricity in its raw commodity does not move over the freight railroad network whatsoever. So we devised 2 separate charging and discharging systems, as well as the custom racking systems around the battery, so that we can bring ourselves to market very quickly and solve the problem of both energy storage and energy transmission line misses in America. Next slide. Our next generation rail car holds 17.2 megawatt hours. It comes fully equipped with fire suppression, off-gas detection, 3 layers of monitoring systems, and we're also using iron phosphate batteries, which are incredibly stable and do not suffer from thermal runaway, explosions, or anything like that. Our safety data sheet says we're non-explosive, non-hazardous, non-flammable, non-environmentally unfriendly, and non-respiratory. So in the event of a derailment, we would just have twisted metal and not a chemical fire or environmental disaster. That being said, we still have safety as our priority from our union background, so it comes with all these safety systems. Our manufacturing partners can deliver our first Generation 1 battery railcar in 120 days, and every 180 days past that, we can deliver 200 units. So we could build 2 unit trains, which would be near 4 gigawatt hours of energy storage, which is more than 10% of all the energy storage capacity we have in all of America. We also have a major pilot project upcoming with Xcel Energy. We're going to be moving our first 20 rail cars between 2 points in Colorado, between 2 coal power plants. One of them's defunct, one of them still in operation, but is going to be shut down in 2027. Our battery trains are connecting 2 regions that do not have enough transmission line capacity, but have freight railroads. And if you think about it, defunct coal power plants are great places for battery discharge because they already have the rail, they already have the substations, they already have the transformers, and everything's available to immediately repurpose those as discharging locations for battery trains that are breaking the transmission line deadlock. This project is pending PUC approval, but we expect we're going to get that, and a Suntrain legislative bill is also being moved through the Colorado Assembly level. So this gives us a clear pathway to mass deployment, but we want to move faster. Dealing with utilities takes 2 to 3 years, and we have the ability to produce energy as independent power producers, as well as move forward with other utilities. So any money we generate up until now and in the near future will significantly improve our timelines. Our energy transmission is fast, it's flexible, it adds resiliency, it adds storage, and it's available immediately instead of having to wait 10 to 20 years to build new transmission lines. We can also use Suntrain for other purposes, not only the grid, but we can also be a part of microgrids. We can be used for powering data centers, which enables operations year before interconnection is available. And there's also a ton of interest from ports. The ports already have rail. They're required to electrify. The utilities can't give them additional electricity. And all the ships that are at berth are required to use cold ironing, which is an electric means of powering their engines and their internal systems while they're at port. So we have multiple opportunities. And that's Suntrain in a nutshell. Tried to go quickly there to cover a lot of ground. So I'll turn it back over to you guys to end out the program and do question and answers.
Yeah, record time there, as I'm sure the trains go as well. So really fascinating stuff. I appreciate you sharing all of that. Yeah, Lior mentioned CTO being smarter than him. Yeah, you got some people on your team that are definitely smarter than me as well. Really cool stuff. We've got some great questions, some great conversation happening here. So excited to get us back to the beginning. Sim, I'm going to head it over to you. I'm going to start with one of the questions that I use every event. I think it's very relevant for the audience, very relevant for them to hear your thoughts on it as well. So, and then I'll dive into a few that you answered that I think are really good conversation. But first and foremost, what are some of the things as you talk to investors, get them really excited about Kutt? What are some of the concerns or pushback that you might also hear from them?
Yeah, I mean, I think just at a super high level, investors understand that this is a massive market, right? So obviously, I think the media focuses specifically on sports betting, which, you know, if anyone here is a sports fan, you turn on any sporting event these days, you probably will see 10 different commercials for sports betting. But obviously, what that doesn't take into account is all the other betting that's happening on a day-to-day basis, right? The non-sport stuff. So I think that's what gets people really excited, as well as the fact that, you know, there's a massive industry, but there's been no innovation in it for the last several years. And so I think that's really what gets investors, you know, paying attention. The concerns we get are around regulation. You know, and I think one of the questions I had in here is kind of like, what's the legality of it? You know, what's the regulatory environment like? And all I can say is that the regulatory environment changes constantly in the space. But generally speaking, over the last 6 to 9 months, it has moved towards deregulation, and it got an extra boost with this current administration, who is fairly hands off on a lot of stuff, and so they're pushing for deregulation in many spaces, and this space is no different. So I'm also happy to, you know, go into more detail with someone who wants to talk about that. But we do have a legal opinion that allows us to operate in 40 states across the U.S. And so as of right now, our regulatory burden is fairly low.
Got it. Very cool. And while I have you here, you know, there's another question about some of the competitive analysis and landscape there. And so when you compare yourself to some of the more established players in the game, like a DraftKings or a FanDuel, are they working on some of this P2P, peer-to-peer like betting capability, or is this something that's you're trying to get out in front of it a little bit?
So definitely the latter. So we actually have, years ago, when I first had the idea, I pitched this to DraftKings and FanDuel, you know, hey, would love to build this within DraftKings and FanDuel. And they just weren't fans of that. For whatever reason, I think they perhaps incorrectly look at it as a low margin business. And it's not necessarily a high margin business, but it's not a no margin business, right? So that's number one. Number two is they are so narrowly focused on getting their existing offering off the ground and into more states in the US. And so they've never really, and you talk to any user in the space, DraftKings and FanDuel and a lot of these bigger guys, like the Vegas casinos, have not really had any innovation in the last couple of years. And so when I answer this question in chat, what we really think will happen is that eventually a company like a DraftKings or FanDuel will actually buy us instead of trying to create it internally, just because they're behind the 8 ball. And companies that big that have that much cash, I saw a couple of days ago that DraftKings had $790 million in cash. Instead of hiring a new team to build that out, they just want to buy it, right? And so we're actually more excited of them as a potential buyer rather than a competitor.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I know they're all just kind of fighting each other for market share in the sports space anyway, so they're very preoccupied there.
Exactly.
Well, brilliant. I'm going to pass it over to Jeremy. I got that same question for you as well, for Merchagogo, and it's really just, you know, the sentiment from investors, some of the things that get them really excited, some of the things that might concern them, if you want to give some detail there.
Sure. One thing that I guess is equal parts disbelief and excitement is just, you know, when we relate to them that these large established companies have these storerooms and warehouses filled with items that are just languishing because it doesn't make any sense. It's like, well, come on, you need to do something with that. And just so many companies don't because they weren't set up to have any plan to do anything with these items. So, I mean, it really does equate to like a diamond in the rough that, you know, we have found. And also think about it, Merch Bar itself has been around for a decade. Um, and we're really just now getting up to speed with our conversations with people about these types of items because we were focused on other things too. So knowing that the opportunity is there is very exciting. Something that you know, definitely we get questions about, and it's a totally legitimate question, is you know, counterfeits and forgeries. And you know, okay, so if you have an open marketplace, how do you make sure that, you know, you maintain a reputation of having legitimate, official, authentic things? And you know, that leans into the customer service piece I was, you know, talking about earlier. Certainly other niche marketplaces, you know, employ staffs of people that authenticate things. And that's one direction you can go. You can go in eBay direction and just have the marketplace police itself. And, you know, that, you know, has its own pitfalls. But as we grow, you know, we're comfortable, of course, knowing that what we are procuring is completely legitimate. But as we open it up, as we onboard more sellers, how we're going to make sure that people have great shopping experiences and buy authentic goods. No, that's top of mind. That's a completely fair question, and one that, you know, I wanted to bring up as something that we are aware of and certainly know that we'll have to address as we grow. But I do think it is possible. I do think it is possible to do
Yeah,
that.
no, definitely. And that's one of the key reasons I've kind of steered away from eBay in recent years, just with collectibles and merchandise.
Right.
Yeah. I have another quick thought for you, and I saw you answered this question as well. Could there be a serious differentiator by creating smart product photo enhancement engine? And I mean, talk a little bit about your exchange here with this one of these attendees.
Right. I, you know, have studied e-commerce marketplaces for many, many years. And I completely agree about image quality. It's make or break. It is the thing next to price that influences whether somebody converts or not. And as AI has been maturing, there are more and more tools for people to use to clean up images, make them better, make them more uniform. And we are aware of that. We certainly are trialing things. We did test one tool that did its job too well, because of course we are dealing with a lot of pre-owned merchandise, and it cleaned things up too well. And it eliminated, you know, imperfections, because that's what it's supposed to do. So, you know, there really is that balance between making a compelling listing that is going to get somebody to add something to their cart versus an authentic experience of, okay, I want whatever the customer orders to match their expectations, and you can't misrepresent things like that. So 100% agree, image quality and also image number. I mean, I get very frustrated with, you know, some vendors that we work with, but just in general e-commerce experiences where, you know, especially like in the vinyl space, you'll get a picture of a cover. That's it. And, you know, not much of a description. It's like, no, like, I mean, I buy vinyl and I'm not nearly as dogmatic as some. And I'm like, no, I got to see more than just the cover. So number of images, quality of images, very, very important. Having an authentic shopping experience, equally important. We're gonna, you know, figure out the balance between those two.
It's a really good observation. Yeah, I mean, getting things overcorrected, you got to keep the integrity of the items that are pre-owned. But yeah, you're on top of it. Sounds good. Leo, I would love to pass my first question. I've got a few others here within the chat roll, but first and foremost, as you talk to investors about Smartsoda, what gets them really psyched? What are some of the concerns you might also hear from them?
The main concern that I hear, mostly is that people are unfamiliar with the space. So a lot of the investors that we are talking with in technology or different events or Karitsu forums, they are unfamiliar with the space, and they believe that you need significant amount of money in order to compete with Coke, Pepsi, Celsius, and those major players, while our go-to-market strategy is completely different and doesn't require this amount of money, as we are not, fighting on the shelf space in retail, which we will do probably in a year or two. But majority of the concerns, they are unfamiliar with the business, and they think that competing with Coke, Pepsi, or the big players, it's nearly impossible.
Yeah. I mean, I can totally see how that could be, something that they think about, but it sounds like you're finding go-to-market channels that are a little bit different than them and, targeting some corporate partners. Do you see that as well? Like it's a little bit different of a go-to-market strategy than some of the other larger players?
No, it's completely different. So we are playing in the niche that there doesn't exist. So we are, playing and selling mostly to corporate America. They are looking for wellness. They are looking for sustainability. Coke and Pepsi are not playing in this field outside of ready to drink or single serve that those clients are trying to eliminate. And the supply chain, when I was the CEO of SodaStream Professional, we needed to hire technicians nationwide, and it was very expensive to scale, and we did. But it was when you are working with Compass Group, Aeromark, Sodexo, they have, I will think that combined maybe 1 million employees in the US. So you're using their network, and we need to work with their technicians and their supply chain management. So our philosophy has been changed to do what you can do best and outsource the rest. We are very good in developing good products, a taste profile, and then let the best distributors and food service management company do what they do best. We are splitting the profit with them, but we are reducing the marketing costs, we're reducing the overhead, and this is the best model ever for us. So it's completely different.
Yeah, I mean, you're leveraging some of their resources and almost making them non-competitors, which is a good strategy for sure. And I guess that leads into the one question I do have for you, and Jake asked this question. There were a couple of others as well. I would encourage anyone attending here, go onto the discussion board, ask any questions about valuation or projections. That's a really great place to ask that question and get answers for it as well. But one of the things Jake asked here, do you guys have plans to get into like a Whole Foods situation? Nicer grocery stores that have ready food available, or even gas stations? And how would you answer the question, who are your biggest competitors?
Okay, so it's two different questions. First of all, we are targeting retail. We are targeting convenience stores. We had a very big project with 7-Eleven, which was extremely successful. But once they acquired Speedway, things got slowed down. They changed the personnel there. So they came to us and they said, the fountain business is dead. No one is using the fountain anymore. You will walk into a convenience store, you will go to the cooler, and you will take what it called added value water. But they are making much more money when people are buying cans. So they wanted to bring the healthier products back to fountain. So we did have a director of convenience stores. We converted a lot of convenience stores, but this is a less profitable business for us because it costs a lot of money to convert, and the B2B business was the best. So we kind of refocused, based on funding and the idea that we want to take market share where it's most profitable for us. But we are definitely going to revise those channels in the future when more funding will land. We are definitely looking into Whole Foods and all the super healthy, fast casual model. We are actually launched last week a restaurant model very similar to the SIP subscription of Panera Bread, when big clients can pay $15 a month and they can go to their favorite chain and they can keep using the Smartsoda product, maybe buying a reusable tumbler with the restaurant's logo, and everyone is looking for loyalty programs and bring people back to. So we are leveraging technology a lot, and everything is around SaaS. My next call is a company with 550 sites that they want to provide their employees the best drinks, but they don't want to do it for free. So now we are connecting it to a payment system. Even if the cost of per drink will be 25 to 50 cents, clients will be able to come with their credit card, tab, and then dispense whatever they want, and everything will be sustainable. So we are definitely going towards the technology.
Very exciting stuff on the horizon. I would put it in an update on your deal page, and our team will review it. If it's good to go, they'll publish it for you. But very, very awesome. Thanks for sharing all of that. We'd love to pass it over to again Suntrain, Christopher, with just the broad question, and then we'll get into some of the audience stuff as well. But as you talk to investors about Suntrain, what gets them really excited? What are some of the concerns you might also hear?
The thing they love is Suntrain's time to market and how quickly we can apply the solution to a full scale, throughout the entire United States. Our main competitor is the building of transmission lines. And since it takes basically 20 years to just get the approval process completed for transmission lines before even the construction starts, they love that we can reutilize stranded assets that are already existing and lightly regulated to immediately solve what used to be thought of as a 10 to 30-year problem. That's both a solution in mass, but also since we can deliver our first units at scale in as little as 6 months, it gets people really excited that this isn't going to be a long-term manufacturing build-out. The thing that we hear, the biggest thing we hear from investors in terms of concern is they have no understanding really of the freight railroad network. There are plenty of firms out there who understand the energy side of the market, the utilities market, how electrical contracting works as you're doing development projects, big or small. But there's very little understanding of how the railroads actually influence with our existing electrical infrastructure. That's a deep economy part of the world that many people don't think about. So their concerns have been around, do the railroads work with you? Are they going to deliver on time? And those answers are easily proven. There's plenty of data out there to show what the on-time of railroad delivery is. But the good news for Suntrain is that energy trains actually move through the freight network with priority. So every other train actually yields to trains that are carrying energy within any commodity, because energy is the most important thing deemed moving through our freight railroad network. The other thing, on-time percentage, railroads also deliver those with the highest on-time amount as well. And they also give energy products the best prices. So while there's not a lot of understanding of the railroad space, there's actually a lot of good information out there that can ease the concerns of energy investors, as well as infrastructure banks and things like that.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. That rail transportation and deliveries are the most punctual. I feel like there's the fewest, outliers or natural things that can cause delays. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
And I guess to that point, actually, Sandra asked a great question, and I know you answered it, but I'd love to just have you share about it for a second here. Talking about drop shipping and potentially even using this in terms of like crisis troubleshooting for natural disasters. So was that's something front of mind for you guys?
Yeah, sure. So our first business model, as I pointed out, is we want to be doing grid scale energy, offloading gigawatt hours of electricity onto the wholesale energy markets on a daily basis, because that's how we generate daily revenue. Think about it as literally every day we're going to market to dump our electricity into the grid. But backup power, temporary power, disaster relief are all business models that we are actively developing. In fact, our very first Generation 1 battery rail car that's ready to roll off the assembly line is configured to do exactly that. Since we're building our batteries are built within standard 20-foot shipping containers, the same type of shipping containers that the freight railroad network is already entirely used to moving, we can easily drop ship these right off the rail cars to any type of facility, whether this was for temporary power, for construction or mining, or disaster relief via FEMA. We are able to do that. But that's just not our focus at the moment, because those things are unplanned, and you generally, before you can apply those business models, have to have a minimum number of commercial deployments. So we're still working through that, but it is very much in the plan.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The unplanned nature of it, and obviously, you got to have some commercial contracts to be able to fund the charitable efforts as well. Totally makes sense, and I really appreciate all four of you answering these questions so openly and thoroughly. And I'm sure there will be more to everyone tuning in. Please do visit the discussion boards for all of these offerings. I'm going to pass it back to the beginning, Sim, and then we'll go down the line once again, just with some closing remarks. And I think one thing to kind of embed within that closing remark, talk about your next big milestone as well, and how you see yourself getting that accomplished. Sim, would love to have you start that.
Yeah, I think, milestones obviously are different for everybody. I think what I would prefer to talk about are new features. I think that's easier. Milestones are somewhat arbitrary, but we're really excited about all the personalization we're bringing into the app right now, the platform, from a variety of different angles. But what our goal is to not only provide the individual user with a personalized experience, hey, offering bets, hey, this is interesting to you because you're a fan of this team, right? But also allowing fans, and people just with any interest, again, whether that's sports, politics, pop culture, to actually be rewarded for engaging with whatever topic that is more formally, right? So let's say, for instance, you're a New York Yankees fan, baseball fan, you bet on the Yankees 10 times in 1 month. Okay, well, now we're going to put you in a raffle to win a Yankees jersey or, a signed baseball, from the Yankees. And so I say all that to say we're really excited about the ability to create this platform. Again, it's not just a betting platform, but a true social network where you're actually interacting with other people, meeting friends, making friends on the platform, engaging with fellow fans, engaging with people who share your love of politics. And then that experience will also be something that, you look at us as a social network rather than just a betting platform. So
Yeah,
really
makes a
excited
lot
about
of
that.
sense. Yeah, personalization is definitely how you set yourself apart and make sure people keep coming back to you. So love that. And Jeremy, would love to ask that same question over to you. Just give us some closing remarks here to the audience and talk about a next milestone or really whatever you want to talk about here for a couple of seconds.
Sure. You heard me mention in the pitch that Merchagogo has secured 1 million units. If you go to Merchagogo, you will see a product count much smaller than 1 million. So we have secured them. We need to get those loaded onto the platform, and that work is ongoing. And when we do actually get all those items loaded, I will treat that as quite the milestone for us. Also, we are in a conversation with a very large entertainment marketing company to basically handle their returns and closeouts. When that deal gets finalized, that will be exciting too. So definitely a lot on the horizon, and I think 2025 is going to be a very exciting year for Merchagogo.
That's awesome. Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, get those items loaded, man. Let people start buying them. Well, excited to hear from you. Thanks a bunch. And Leo, would love to hand it over to you just for a couple closing remarks for our attendees here, and maybe talk about a next big milestone or something that's on the horizon for you.
To simplify it, it's to reach our goals. And with a little bit more details, we will be launching our AI technology in 2020, in Q2 2025. We are planning to place around 2,000 new machines this year between some large restaurant chain and very big corporations. We are in very deep conversations with a few of them, looking into closing soon, hopefully. And for us, it's all about placing machines, seeing the traction, and selling more products. So just to achieve our goals, we don't want to do much more than that.
Very well said. Christopher, would love to have you wrap us up here with just a few closing remarks for the audience here.
Sure thing. We have 2 major milestones on the horizon. The first will be the delivery of our Generation 1 rail car. As soon as that rail car is out and it's delivered and it's available for demonstration, it'll prove to the energy industry as well as the utilities industry that our technology and our solution is ready for the big time. If you think about it, our initial just proof of concept rail car that had about 1/25th the amount of energy that our Generation 1 rail car had was able to generate a $150 million opportunity and a significant amount of interest throughout the entire electrification sector, as well as the press. When we have our first product out and moving, we expect it will not only generate a significant number of new products, but likely future investment in the concept as well as the company. Secondarily, our next major milestone is actually operating the pilot project with Excel Energy, which we expect to be doing sometime in mid to late 2026. where we'll actually be having our first battery trains moving back and forth between 2 coal power plants in Colorado, where we'll be moving renewable energy from a constrained area in Southeast Colorado into the downtown Denver region and discharging on a daily basis to the Denver metro area so that renewable energy can proliferate and break the deadlock on transmission lines.
I'm excited to see that happen. That's really cool stuff. And
you.
that goes for all 4 of you, building really great companies here. And thank you once again for tuning in and sharing some of your insights, some things about your companies and your teams with our investors here. To everyone who tuned in as an attendee, thank you as well for spending some time with us. Please do visit the deal pages. Post any questions that may not have been answered on the discussion board. I know these founders would love to answer them and engage with you further. And apart from that, everyone have a great evening. We'll see you next month for the next edition of Founder Pitch. So everyone take care.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.